Hello and welcome to Mickeyology, where we take Disney a little too seriously. I'm Austin Rathall, and today we're comparing Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There with the Disney version. Through the Looking Glass is the sequel to Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. However, Disney didn't adapt Through the Looking Glass once. In a way, they adapted it 3 times. All 3 of Disney's Alice movies, the animated Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, and Alice Through the Looking Glass, drew material from this book. None of those movies are a straightforward adaptation of the book, though. Instead, each movie adapted different characters, locations, and scenes from the book, and then used them to tell new stories. So, what material did Disney take from the book? How did they use it? And how similar is the original story to the Disney films? To find out, let's compare Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass with all 3 of Disney's Alice movies. Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass begins with young Alice at home looking after her pet cats when she suddenly realizes that she can walk through the mirror above her mantel. She walks through the mirror and finds a room where living chess pieces are moving about. Disney adapted this scene in Alice Through the Looking Glass. In the movie, Alice visits the home of the snobby Lord Hamish Ascot. There she sees the blue caterpillar Absalom, who's now a butterfly. Absalom lures Alice back to Wonderland through a mirror in one of Hamish's rooms. In the book, Alice finds a book inside Looking Glass World, and in it she reads a poem called Jabberwocky. It's a whimsical poem about a boy who slays a fierce monster called the Jabberwocky with a weapon called the Vorpal Sword. In Disney's animated film, the Cheshire Cat recites part of Jabberwocky's first stanza while he's lounging in a tree in the Tulgey Wood. The poem had a much bigger impact on Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland. In fact, the movie drew its central plot from the poem. In the movie, the poem is a prophecy about Alice, who is destined to slay the Jabberwocky on the Frabjous Day, thereby defeating its master, the tyrannical Red Queen. Mad Hatter recites the poem to Alice as he takes her through the woods.
Beware the Jabberwock, my son, on the frumious Bandersnatch.
Artist John Tenniel drew an illustration of this poem back in the day, and Disney inserted the illustration into the movie. You can see a modified version of the image in the Oraculum scroll. The poem mentions another creature called the Bandersnatch, and although the poem only mentions it once, Disney gave the creature a role in both Tim Burton's Alice and Alice Through the Looking Glass. As in the first book, Through the Looking Glass has Alice travel through a strange world, filled with strange characters like singing flowers and funny insects. Disney put the flowers and insects in the animated film and gave them their own song, all in the golden afternoon. The flowers and insects also make cameo appearances in Tim Burton's Alice. Later in the book, Alice meets Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Alice meets the Tweedles in Disney's animated film, and her conversation with them is taken almost verbatim from the book. The Tweedles reappeared in Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland and in Alice Through the Looking Glass. In the book, the Tweedles recite a poem called The Walrus and the Carpenter. Disney put this poem into the animated film too, and turned it into a song. After meeting the Tweedles, Alice continues on and meets the famous Humpty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty appears ever so briefly in Disney's Alice Through the Looking Glass. In that movie, Alice knocks him off his perch, and it's up to the chess pieces, specifically the king and his men, to put Humpty back together again. As Alice travels through Looking Glass World, she realizes it's laid out like an enormous chessboard, and she meets its 2 queens, the White Queen and the Red Queen. Both queens appear in the live-action films, played by Anne Hathaway and Helena Bonham Carter, respectively. The chessboard appears too, serving as the location for the climactic battle in Tim Burton's Alice. As you can see, every time Disney made an Alice movie, they mined Through the Looking Glass for material. Nevertheless, Disney never adapted the book outright. While some people might assume that Alice Through the Looking Glass is a faithful retelling of the book Through the Looking Glass, the 2 stories are vastly different. Anyone who reads through The Looking Glass expecting it to follow the same plot as the Disney movie will be surprised to find that the two stories have almost nothing in common. The book follows Alice on her journey across the chessboard of Looking Glass World. She plays the part of a pawn in this bizarre game, so when she reaches the far side of the board, she becomes a queen. However, when she takes her place alongside the Red Queen and White Queen, her fellow monarchs tell her she can't be a queen without passing an examination. The queens make her answer nonsensical quiz questions and attend a chaotic banquet before Alice finally wakes up and realizes her whole adventure was a dream. Not only is the plot of the book different from those of the Disney movies, but it features several characters that don't appear in the movies at all. There's the gnat, a giant insect who teaches Alice about the other insects of Looking Glass World, the white knight who tells Alice about his many odd inventions, and a lion and a unicorn who fight each other for a crown while Alice watches. The characters Disney did adapt from the book aren't all faithful to their book versions either. Disney merged the Queen of Hearts from the first book with the Red Queen from the second, even though they're separate characters. Disney also gave the two queens names and backstories that don't appear in the book. As for the plot of Disney's live-action sequel, Alice Through the Looking Glass, that actually comes from the first book, not the second. In the first book, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, Alice attends a tea party with the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. Disney put this scene in the animated movie, but they left out a conversation that Alice has with the Hatter about time. The Hatter explains that time is a person. Hatter and Time had a quarrel, and Time cursed the Hatter by trapping him in an eternal tea time. No matter how much time seems to pass, it's always 6 o'clock for the Hatter, and so it's always time for tea. Alice never actually meets Time in the book, she just hears about him, but Disney fleshed out the character and made him the antagonist of Alice Through the Looking Glass, and they cast Sacha Baron Cohen to play him. In the movie, we see Time cursing the Hatter to his eternal tea.
Until the young Alice joins you for tea, it will always remain 1 minute till tea time.
As for the rest of the movie, with its naval battles, time travel, and daring escape from an asylum, none of that comes from the Carroll books. If you're wondering whether Through the Looking Glass is worth reading, I'd suggest asking yourself whether you think it would be fun to solve a chess puzzle while you're tripping on acid. If your answer is yes, then you'll love the book. If not, then I don't recommend it. This book is somehow even weirder than the first. It's also quite dreamlike, and Alice will sometimes find herself instantly transported to a new place with no explanation. Several times as I was reading it, I thought I'd accidentally skipped a crucial paragraph, only to find out that I hadn't missed anything. The book is just deliberately odd. There are long stretches where characters will recite poetry, and one chapter near the end is half a sentence long. Why? Who knows? Still, I'd be foolish to say that Carroll is a bad writer. The Jabberwocky poem alone is a masterwork. It tells an epic story in very few words, half of which are complete nonsense. It takes a skilled writer to produce poetry like that. It's just that this writer isn't exactly on my wavelength. If you dig this kind of story, then more power to you, but if LSD in print isn't your thing, I would suggest sticking to the Disney movies. So there you have it. That is how Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass compares to all three of Disney's Alice films. Please let me know in the comments if you've read the book, and if so, what you think of it. And let me know which Disney movie you would like me to compare with its source material next. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and if you would like more videos like this one, there are plenty more here on the channel for you to check out, and you can find even more by going to patreon.com/Mickeyology or becoming a channel member here on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.